In this video, I'm going to discuss my thoughts on the next Saints Row. I want to update you all on my thoughts on Saints Row 77 also, and talk about the issues I think a game like this would face, and how I believe they should tackle the situation regarding the Saints Row franchise. Firstly, people have asked me if there's been any updates on Saints Row 77 since my last video. Unfortunately, my friends, it's been radio silence. Which I think we all expected. If this dev got asked to pitch a game, it's ridiculously early in the installment's development cycle. Nobody usually hears about games at a pitching phase. Alongside this, I also think it's unlikely we'll be getting any more hints until some concrete official information comes along. There's also the situation of, if this is real, it doesn't mean it's happening. This guy has to pitch a prequel idea to a company purely focused on profits. As regardless of whether they're talking to Deep Silver, PlayOn, or Embracer, they've got to sell a golden idea to recover a decaying franchise. That's a tough sell by all accounts when the IP's in as poor a state as Saints Row's is. So unfortunately, news is quiet and confirmation is little. The buzz will fade surrounding this idea, and I wouldn't expect a miracle to come along anytime soon. Sorry Saints, we're in it for the long haul on this one. I think Saints Row is going to struggle even past this prequel though. It's a great idea, but as I alluded to in my prior video, as much as I love the idea of a game based purely on the roots of what started this franchise, something which has unfortunately been abandoned by its creators for decades now, it doesn't solve many of the issues we will have past that point. See, now we can actually use a close relative of Saints Row to compare how a situation like this would play out. Let's take a look at Mafia. Mafia follows a somewhat similar story to Saints Row. The first two games arrived to a lot of fanfare, but the third game went off the tracks too much and devs didn't know where to take the future of the franchise. So they made a spin-off game set before the other titles. Now this is a little different, admittedly, as Mafia doesn't retain the same casting, so for the most part telling Mafia stories, they tend to be a little easier. But the point to take away from this is, while Mafia the Old Country is a banger game, what's next? What on earth do they do with Mafia 4? This is where Saints Row will end up, and in order for this franchise to succeed, the prequel needs to try and remedy some of this. Now, this might sound impossible, but don't underestimate the power of a successful title. It really does just take one step in the right direction to recover a franchise. Let's hope for the best and imagine the next Saints Row is the prequel we all want. And it's very successful, like Saints Row 3 levels of commercial success and Saints Row 2 levels of fan reception, a true best case scenario, which really wouldn't be out of the realm of reality in the age of the internet and over-marketing. We would then need to hope that if this prequel does well as I stated, developers would understand that this is the core of what players want. The reality currently is, from a business perspective, the later Saints Rows tend to sell better and the earlier Saints Rows tend to be received better. Do you think a company like Embracer cares more about respect or money? Exactly. So financially, the prequel needs to be marketable. It needs to have a large audience. It needs to appeal to the large audience Saints Row has, which luckily over the years, more and more fans have become fond of the older style of Saints Row games. There's a big outcry for them. This is kind of a lightning in the bottle situation here, as the want for a gritty Saints Row has never been higher. So if they did manage to pull it off, and make a game that fans love, and it performs well commercially, it would show Embracer, Deep Silver, and PlayOn that this older style of game is what the fans want. Tweets and hashtags are one thing, but when it comes to getting what you want from a company, money is the way to go. If the latest Saints Row game is described as a massive flop critically but it sells well, they do not care. It sold well, it was a success for them. That's how they see it. Hopefully, if they were to follow the money of Saints Row 77, if it all goes well, they would then realize that the audience for Saints Row would be massive if they use this older style appeal. And then if they realize this point, there's a potential for a whole host of things, like remakes, reboots, or maybe even spin-off games. The point I'm trying to make here is that Saints Row 77 and its pitch, it isn't about selling itself as a game, it's about selling the identity of what Saints Row is back to its creators. And we need to hope that the critical and commercial success of a game in this older style would be there, so they realize that this is the game we actually want. And you see, that's the hope. That's the light at the end of the tunnel. It's hoping that finally the company behind Saints Row could see the success of an older style of Saints Row game in live time, and realize that they need to adopt this formula going forward. Because, as I say, right now they think wacky sells and reality smells. Okay, that is an awful quote, but seriously, this lame, wacky, goofy, tongue-in-cheek, dildo bat-holding, cardboard-wearing, emote-wielding, alien-fighting, corny snooze fest is the moneymaker. To them, the identity of Saints Row is sold to the highest bidder. And right now it's these later games. For this franchise to ever have a chance in modern gaming, this has to change fundamentally. That's all I have to say in this video, guys. Take care.